been nearly 7 months now since the last big Tarkov update, and we have now had confirmation that the word that most of the Tarkov community has been waiting to hear: wipe. It is now confirmed that it is going to be happening any day in the next couple of weeks, with 12.13 round the corner, events literally starting as I am recording this. I just wanted to go through a few tips from me and my playgroup to help people get the best of their early wipe experience. You may be wondering, who the fuck is this anthropomorphic piece of spaghetti trying to tell me how to fucking play?
Why?
Of course, I am C. Pomery. I have played Tarkov for a little under 2 years now. I've gotten Kappa each wipe I've played, and just to clarify, no, I'm not as good as Pestilli. Yes, I have no life the game, and yes, I'm currently sat here in my pyjamas. With that out of the way, let's get on with it. So why don't we start off this list with the bread and butter of NPCs, which is Scavs. Now, these you can find on every map in Tarkov, but also they are an option for you to gain free loot by being able to run one every 15 minutes or so, depending on the number of things like your Scav Karma and your Intelligence Center level. Now, these can be really handy for being able to get loot, especially if you get into real dire straits in the less than 100,000 rubles sort of area. Always handy. Like, even if you don't want to spend too much time, you just you see a gun that your scav has that you like, you can literally just run into factory, run to an extract and get out. You can complete any fetch quests, so anything you need to go and find your slavers at the start of the raid. 33 shotguns, your TOS shotguns, your 3M armor, the early fetch quests, they can be really handy for you to be able to just pump out and not have to risk any of your gear whilst going out. They can have some really nice stuff on them as an off chance. You can get some keys, labs key cards, which are needed for quests as well, and there's even the odd chance I've seen people, not had it happen to myself, but I've seen people who have got thermals on their guns somehow. I've never been that lucky, but hey ho. And maybe slightly different with this wipe because they are introducing scav tasks with fence. That is a new update that is actually going to be is going to change the way that scavs are played, definitely. But utilizing scavs is definitely something that's worth looking into, and can yield some really nice results. Just another quick point on scavs, it's another great way for you to utilize that you can go and not worry about any sort of gear fear because anything you take in is free. But you can utilize it for experience PvP because it's a big part of the game, especially towards the late wipe. You want to make sure that you are experienced enough in it that you can handle yourself. So anybody who's very new to the game right now and doesn't trust themselves with PV, use that scav. Just go out, hear some shots, see yourself as the Chad, run at those shots and see what you can do to fuck someone's day up and take their gear. Because if you can get out with a player gear, that's a huge upgrade, and your risk it to reward ratio in that is brilliant. Moving on from scavs, traders. You can use the stuff you get from scavs to sell to traders in order to level them up, which is obviously going to be handy. A lot of stuff that you can get on the flea, you can also get from the traders at some point or another, whether it be level 3 or level 4, typically for the higher end stuff. But it is a way you can get that gear, and generally it will be cheaper, especially if you get up there as soon as possible. Getting the high level traders can get you the best tier ammo. Again, there has been changes with that, and I anticipate there'll be some more changes with that where they removed high tier ammo from the flea, or in fact actually that might mean they don't change it at all this wipe because they'll want to make sure that people still have access to it. With it though, getting traders up is going to be really handy for being able to keep you in that gear and make you spending less money as you go in per raid. You can do this by doing quests with all of them. As we said, we've got the fetch quests, focusing on completing particular ones for tasks. I know personally I like pushing for level 4 skier as soon as I can because he's got M855A1 500 around. When it was on the flea, that would go for 2,000 around easy. So that is a hell of a lot cheaper. You can buy 90 on a reset, which is normally about one raid's worth. But with that being said, all of the traders have decent gear at their higher levels for obvious reasons, and it's definitely worth looking at leveling them up where you can. A quick last point on the traders, don't underestimate the barter trades. A lot of the early game trades, obviously you'll look at money because you won't know what barter trades are there. Check them. If they change them, they have a habit of changing them without making a big deal out of them, and they can be some really useful ones. One of the ones I use the most often at the start of the wipe playing as a USEC, I typically run, and you get the M4s to start off with. With that, you can get a RIS handguard, a CAC RIS handguard for the M4. It goes straight on it. It allows you to put a tactical device on there. It allows you to put a foregrip on there with no other mounts on there, so it means you can get the most out of that M4 just by changing out that hand grip. And all that is, if I remember rightly, and again they haven't changed it, that is one emergency water ration, which isn't that difficult to find. You can find them normally anywhere. Additionally, on traders, we've mentioned that how useful they can be to level them up as soon as you can. Part of doing that is doing a lot of the tasks for them. You crank out those tasks, the further you can get up, the better. Obviously, it gets you a huge bump in XP, huge bump in gear, and a lot of times some of the easy ones for mechanic, like the gunsmith building ones, you can find the guides online, and it means you get a bunch of XP, a bunch of different currencies, as well as bitcoins. On top of that, if you have trouble doing any of the tasks, again, especially early wipe, utilize night raids. I've had someone point out, and a couple of other people have reminded me, night raids at the start of the wipe, people aren't typically running them, which means you're going to see a lot less contention for some of the high intense combat PvP areas. You would have a lot less contention if you go to these maps at night, especially in like the first week of the raid. Other people may be doing this as well, so there's not going to be like no chance that you'll run into someone. But it does mean that you will have less contention in doing that, so bear that in mind, that you can utilise that for the harder tasks. All you got to do is bring a flashlight, if you can get that on your gun, and then you can gain your bearings every now and then, just so you know where you're going, and then you're on your way. Now, briefly touched on PvP combat already, but just to go back to that, one thing to always try and bear in mind as a general rule of the Tarkov community seems to be, when you find one, there's two. You find two, there's three. You find three, there's four, and when you find four, there's five. Anytime you find one, always you get a kill, don't be rushing into loot. I know I'm terrible for this. Anyone who comes and watches one of my streams, you will see. I will always try and sneakily see if I can loot someone. If there's a way I can do it, I'm going to do it. Mainly at the cost of my life, but if I'm running with people, then it means that my friends can get them, but likewise, that's how they got me, obviously. Me going to loot that body, they've just been watching their friend's body, and typically they're always more patient than me, at least. So it's something to bear in mind. Anytime you go and loot a body, there may be someone watching it. Even if it's not one you killed, you come across a dead body in the wild, someone killed it. If it doesn't look looted, chances are they're still there. Keep an eye out. Watch them bushes. Now, audio cues are a huge thing in Tarkov. I know you will probably notice you can hear footsteps. Chances are, if you can hear their footsteps, they can hear your footsteps. So always assume that they know where you are. If you've only heard brief bits of footsteps, it might be worth trying to stay still so they can't get an exact pinpoint. As well as a strategy since they introduced VoIP is if they start trying to communicate with you, by all means, they may be friendly. I don't want to sort of make everyone start shooting on sight. No, I love the friendly guy. And there's people out there who will be friendly and stuff in regards to this. However, I've also seen people utilize this strategy to keep someone talking to be able to help triangulate their position even easier, because once you're talking, it's directional based, so they will hear where your voice is coming from to be able to work out who you are, where you are, sorry. With that, I've seen people use it to work out which shop someone's hiding in interchange, just by sort of just talking out and trying to get them to talk back. It's a cheeky way of doing it, but there's a lot of mistrust in Tarkov, as you probably experience. Another tip coming directly from Reddit is if you're not comfortable using the higher end gear, just sell it and buy gear you will use. I am terrible for this. I am definitely considered a hoarder in Tarkov. Considered, I'm going to stick using that word, even though people would argue it's not considered, it's just a fact. I'm considered a hoarder in Tarkov. I have a filled up stash quite consistently, and typically it'll just be because I'll hold on to some of the high-end gear that I want to use. I want to go for like a chatty raid, or come in and bring friends' gear in as well, so we can all go for a proper chatty raid. But if you're not going to run it, there's not a point in keeping it. Sell it, and that'll be a great investment for you to buy multiple loadouts of something else further down the line. On that note, even if you're going in just to try and run through and see what you can do, Unless you're doing it for a purpose, it's always worth wearing at least a packer. If you've got the money to get on there for a packer, it just stops scavs typically being able to one-shot you to the chest. This means that you can at least have a bit of a chance so you don't get god tier scavved as much. Sometimes if they've got that M61, you're still fucked anyway. But at least anytime someone pumps you in the chest with buckshot, you're not going to be just falling over immediately before you've had a chance to properly react. Map knowledge is a very big thing in this game. Using sites like Map Genie to help you understand the key points of the map. It'll show you where quest objectives are. It's going to mean that you can communicate better if you play as a team, so you can make better callouts to let everyone know where you are, because communication is a huge thing in this game. With that, it's also going to mean you can move around as freely as you can, knowing where things are, where you need to go, what you need to do. Part of this map knowledge actually encompasses the max player count. So, as a very basic example, Factory has a max player count currently of 6 players. So, and you can run a party of a max of 5 players. So if you run in as a 5-man in Factory, there's one other player that you're going up against. And you can use that to your advantage and bully the absolute shit out of them. Doesn't mean you should, for the record, but it is something you can bear in mind. In this sense as well, though, you can remind yourself that if you go into a map that's got, for example, a 12 max player count, and you as a 5-man then kill, I don't know, 4 players in the first 20 minutes of the raid, and so you came across a 2-man, another 2-man for an example, then you know that there's going to be an absolute maximum of 3 other players left on that map. You as 5, the other 2 2-mans can't make 4. There's 3 players left if there's 12 players max to that lobby. Using that information can help you sort of bear in mind how cautious to be. As a 5-man against 3 people left that aren't necessarily all going to be grouped, you can probably feel a bit more confident, a bit more safe in yourself, knowing that at the very least, even if you just trade with the other people, you'll have two people surviving, and you can then make sure you've just bushed any neat gear that needs to be done. The last tip I want to go through is a basic one that often gets forgot in regards to a lot of these tier lists. It's to have fun. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a game. It is good to get a good start to any wipe. Of course, you want to, but it's a game that is taken far too seriously from time to time, and the main point of any game is to have fun at the end of the day. So, as long as you make sure you're doing that, you're always going to have a great experience with it, and just enjoy yourself. Okay, I think that covers a lot of the basics of some of the things that people might want to learn, or might help them get through a little bit better at the start of this particular wipe. Now, this wipe, there is going to be a lot of updates, as there is with every wipe, so there may be some differences, and if anything doesn't apply after I've put out this video, I am very sorry. I will try and, if there is anything that does need updating, I'll put up a correction video, and I'll probably link that in the description if it is past wipe time that this then comes out. In the meantime, though, if there is, this is a very new format for me. It's not something I've done talking to the camera directly about this. If it's something that you liked, please, by all means, just go down and like the video. It's really appreciated. Leave a comment if you've got any sort of feedback for it. I really appreciate it. I want to take everything on board and see what I can do to improve the quality of this channel as a whole. But thank you for listening to me. Hopefully the start of the wipe goes well, and if anyone wants to join me for some raids, I stream Tarkov on Thursday nights, 8:30 GMT, or BST depending on the time of year. But with that, by all means, jump in the Discord. I'll have that link below as well, and I'm more than happy to run with anyone who wants to come along. In the meantime, though, stay hungry. Thank you. Bye bye.